You had written the book?
Well, I wrote it. I started writing it right away.
This was when you got back to New York. You started writing it while you were working this job.
Yeah. But it took, this was...
Phil for you.
That happened in 2012. And the book didn't come out until 2017.
Okay.
But there was a lot of writing and, finding publishers and things. So that, the whole time I was working on the book in some form.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When did you... Wow.
Yeah.
And then, so that changed your life, publishing the book.
Yeah. I mean, that was a whole other blessing, was getting that book published, because, typically to get a book published, you're supposed to have like an audience. Like you're supposed to be like an expert at something and then build credibility around it and build like an audience and a reputation around it. Mm-hmm. And then finally you can publish a book on the topic.
Yeah. But
I was going about it all backwards. I was starting with the book because I didn't have any public reputation or credibility or expertise.
Right.
So to speak of, I was just a writer. So I was coming at it with the book first, which isn't the way the publishing industry typically works. But I knew I needed to write the book. I knew that I needed it to come out of me. Mm-hmm. And I remember I made like a bargain with the universe. I'm like, listen, I need to write the book. I can't write the book and figure out how to get this out there. So I'm like, I'm going to write the book. You need to find a way for this to get out into the world.
Dude, I feel that. That's what I'm on now.
Yeah.
You just got to do it. If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah. And then I eventually decided just to pitch it. So I start looking up every email I could find for any agent, any editor, any publisher, and I was sending it to everybody. And I didn't hear back from anyone. I didn't even get rejected. I just didn't hear back from
Worse than rejected is like just not even acknowledged.
Right.
You would have wished for a rejection. Oh my goodness.
But then I had this proposal that I made. And then my friend Jake, who I had been on the island with, I sent him the proposal just to show him as a friend, get his feedback. And then without telling me, he had this other friend that was pitching a book to this publisher called Hay House, and they have a UK office, and he was working with this UK writer, and they were pitching this book to this UK branch of Hay House. And he's like, well, I'm talking to these people about this book. He's like, I might as well send them James's proposal. So without telling me, he sent them my proposal.
What?
Yeah.
It's the lady in the courthouse.
Just pass it along. Exactly. Yeah. And then they got it and they loved it. So they sent it to the New York office of Hay House. So then out of nowhere, I'm just chilling.
You get a call.
I get an email.
We
and
dropped the case.
They're like, yo, this is Hay House. Yeah. We got your proposal. We would love for you to come in for a meeting.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? Because this is a pretty big publisher.
Yeah.
And I was getting rejected by everyone. And suddenly this big publisher was inviting me in for a meeting.
Yeah, we dig your stuff.
Right. So I go into Hay House in New York and met with them. And they say, she literally said, this is the best proposal I've ever seen.
What?
That's what she said. She's like, you're a real writer. I'm like, yeah, what do you, she's like, yeah, well, most of our authors aren't like real writers. There's like a self-help thing.
Okay.
So I was like just a better writer.
Yeah.
And they liked that. She's like, the problem is you don't have an audience. You don't have a marketing platform, they called it. She's like, if you had an audience, we would publish this tomorrow.
Right.
But you don't have an audience. So she's like, give me some tips on how to grow my audience. And she's like, so this is like kind of on hold until then. And then the next day or a couple days later, she emails me and she's like, listen, we have this conference coming up in Chicago. And it's this, it's kind of like a conference for aspiring writers. And at the end of this conference, someone will be awarded a book deal. And this is like a $5,000 conference to attend. And she's like, we're going to send you there.
Nice.
So she hooked me up, sent me to this conference, after which I submitted my proposal and won.
You won?
And won. So, so that's how I got my first book deal.
Without an audience.
Without it, well, yeah, without an
Well,
audience.
you probably had an audience after that because you had accolades. You had something to kind of
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it was small at first, but it's publishing the book was what helped me grow it.
Yeah.
Yep.
What a story.
Yeah.
And then what happened after publishing it? How was the growth or the adoption of it?
You know, that book did not do super well because again, I didn't have an audience. I didn't know how to market a book, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, you know, even now I'm like seeing all these people on these book tours and I'm just like, I didn't know how to do a book tour. I never even like, I mean, I did, you know, I did some podcasts. I did a couple public speaking events, but I was just really getting my feet wet.
You were learning.
Yeah. It gave me some exposure to, you know, stand up in front of an audience, to be a guest on a podcast. Like my first times doing podcasts, I was like so nervous. I had all these pages of notes and I was just like so not present.
Oh,
But you know, since then I've done God knows how many podcasts.
yeah.
So now it's just like so easy.
You're chill.
I'm so comfortable.
Yeah.
But I was not at first. I was a wreck and I was probably coming off as nervous and, you know, so I was, you know, it's like jumping in before you're ready, but then that's how you get ready is by trial by fire.
The fool's journey starts with that first step.
Totally.
Yeah.
So it was awkward at first, but it gave me just the experience I needed to, you know, learn how to stand on my own 2 feet as an author and speaker and thought leader type person.